What do you think of this Tim Kennedy stolen valor story? You are someone in particular in this MMA space. I'd love to hear their thoughts. Man, I mean, I get this question a lot because obviously I was in the Marine Corps for a little while, and people think that like I have. I don't have the reaction that you might imagine that I would have. Well, not that I think it's a great thing. I don't. I mean, first of all, I would say that a lot of service members exaggerate to some degree their service. Mine is very much not distinguished, which I'm totally okay with, because in order for mine to have been distinguished, I would have had to have gone and fought in wars for Donald Rumsfeld and George Bush, and I'm very glad again, my detractors bring this up like it's some kind of knock on me. And I have to tell you, like, when I think about how lucky, I mean, there's been times, man, in my life where I've had some really bad luck. And then the fact that my unit was an artillery unit, Hotel Battery 314, 4th Mardiv, just south of Richmond, right past the Marlboro factory. The fact that Marine Corps artillery was slowly being phased out at that point because they didn't need it anymore. It may have saved my life. It may have saved my life. And it may have saved the life of people that they would have sent me to go kill too. Like the fact that I didn't deploy, I consider at the time I was in the military anyway, I consider that to be truly one of the biggest blessings of my life. Like I cannot tell, every day I wake up and I'm like, holy fuck, I didn't have to do that. Because I was 23 when we invaded Iraq. I was 23 years old. And so all the guys my generation who were in their 20s, I saw a bunch of them who went active duty and they went and fought. It fucked every last one of them up. They don't come home with stories about their fucking glory. They had to go through years of alcoholism and therapy and failed marriages in order to just get to the other side of it. So like when people are like, oh, you didn't deploy, what do you know? And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I didn't have to go through that. Gee, how am I going to sleep through the night? You know? But I've said this before, like because of those reasons, I have my military experience is just totally distinct from Tim's. Like there's a lot of stuff a lot of claims, because as I understand it, and it's not a thing I followed super closely, as I understand it, there was a bunch of other special forces guys on YouTube who I guess have a podcast or something. I don't know their names. And I guess they're the ones that discovered this. And then they made a big to-do of it. I'm not sure if they discovered anything, but they made a big to-do of it. And that kind of bubbled up and it turned into all of this. And here we are. I guess I have a couple of things I would say to that. I mean, the first of it is, again, maybe three things. Number one, the degree to which Tim appears to have lied about his career. I don't know what everything he's accused of, but just on the Bronze Star thing, if he like never got one and said he got one, like that alone is, I mean, there's just simply no justification for it. It is, I don't know that's like the worst thing you can do. Everyone kind of exaggerate. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people anyway tend to exaggerate. The guys who went and did stuff and got medals, they tend to, there tend to be some, exaggeration of it, perhaps much more mild, obviously, but inventing getting one of the most distinguished honors in the military is not forgivable, is the first thing I would say. But if I could be honest with you, like I spoke to Tim when he was like telling guys to get over their PTSD, excuse me. And I was trying to reason with him about how like kind of insane that was. And he was very friendly to me about it, which I appreciated. But how do I explain this? One of the reasons I do less interviews now than I've ever done with MMA fighters is because I've had to let go of liking them. Now, that's not true in every case. Like there's many I still like Corey Sandhagen I still like, for example. And there's plenty others too. But as like a general rule, I had to let go of paying attention to their personal lives. I had to let go of paying attention to like their opinions about things beyond fighting, because some are out there committing crimes and some are like, PTSD is all in your head, or and it's like I couldn't justify having a rational attachment to these people when they say stuff like that and they live these kinds of lives. It becomes impossible for me to be interested in them in any way. And I'd kind of let go of him and many others, quite some time ago. So it's like, oh, revelations have come out that he wasn't telling the truth about stuff. And it's like, wow, I'm not, I not that I predicted this, but it's like, I'm really not, I'm not super surprised by it to be that, like, Jesus, fucking, all right. I've said this before. I think many of the fighters have taken the joy out of getting to know them. Your opinion might be different, but that's kind of where I'm at. That's not true. I mean, like, again, it's not universally true. I think Craig Jones is interesting, as I mentioned, Corey Sandhagen. There's several I could still have a great conversation with, but like, so many have become uninteresting to me by virtue of, revelations about who they are. And the last thing I'm going to say is everyone's going to be different about this, but like the amount of horrible shit that is happening in the world right now is taking up so much bandwidth in my mind that I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I don't care, but it doesn't rank as, like, this story doesn't rank as high priority for me. It just doesn't. Like, every day I wake up and I look at the news and I'm like, wow, okay, well, here we are, So obviously, if you didn't get a Bronze Star and you told the world you got a Bronze Star and you're using some of these stories to enrich yourself, that is extremely bad. That is extremely bad. I don't know personally anybody who claimed something that big, that like a very distinguished award that they never earned. I don't know if I know anybody who ever did that other than Tim. Like, to that level, it's very, very bad. But people want me to be like, have fire and brimstone about this. And honestly, it's like, to me, like, in covering the lives of, people who compete in the sport, it's like, is this really all that surprising? I don't think that it is. We're talking about John Jones and Connor fighting on the White House. Like, these are not great people, So I don't want to paint like the broadest of brushes and be like, oh, all the fighters like that. That's not true. It's really not true. There are many good ones, but compared to how I used to feel about talking to the fighters, like, again, so many of them have taken the joy out of getting to know them. All right.